It is April Fool's Day, but it was no laughing matter for Liverpool as they were demolished 4-1 by Manchester City at the Etihad. Join me as we go through some of the major talking points that surrounded this game because it was quite the cracker. Please like the video and subscribe, it really would mean a lot to me. But now, let's talk Manchester City beating Liverpool by 4-1. If there was ever a way to make a statement, this would be it. The game ended Manchester City 4, Liverpool 1. And while I thought that Liverpool did quite a good job in the first half, specifically getting the goal and this little piece of momentum, I thought that overall City were just by far the better side. Liverpool, I thought, would sit deep and then play on the counter-attack, which is exactly what they did. However, the chances that they tried to create just never really materialised. And in the end, Man City's dominance really did show through. You can see that in the attacking momentum bar. While Liverpool did huff and puff occasionally, they were caught offside more often than not, and City just, with their pressure, with their quality, just ended up wearing Liverpool down. They couldn't deal with the width that City created. And at the same time, they also couldn't deal with the two central midfielders dropping into pockets. I'll show you what I mean now. If we have a look at the lineups, we can see Man City right here. And this is true, they did set up with a back three with Akanji, Diaz and Ake. This is fine. They had John Stones as almost a hybrid flex role in the sense of he could play right back, he could be in centre midfield next to Rodri, and for the most part he was in centre midfield because they have the ball. When City don't have the ball, he retreats back and goes and plays at right back. When City do have the ball, he comes and plays as an extra centre midfielder. And what ends up happening is that this allows Kevin De Bruyne and Gundogan to really push forwards and really take up these positions in between the Liverpool midfield. This allows Mahrez and Grealish to stay really wide, and in them staying wide, it just gives De Bruyne and Gundogan that little bit more space. De Bruyne, I thought, was absolutely fantastic in this game. As you can see, he was just great. 5 out of his 7 ground duels he won. And then we can go through a couple of other players as well. Jack Grealish, I thought, had a fantastic game as well. 6 out of his 8 ground duels won as well. He had an absolute field day against Trent Alexander-Arnold, who just wasn't protected for most of the game. And that was really a telltale sign of what was to come in the later parts of the game. Grealish getting one-on-one with Alexander-Arnold, Mahrez pulling Robertson over to this side, making Jota come down and try to double up on Mahrez. This left the likes of Akanji and John Stones to have too much time on the ball, and in the end Liverpool's midfield just couldn't cope with the amount of passing, the amount of pressure and the amount of ability that Man City had on the ball. As for Liverpool, let's just talk about them for a moment. They set up in exactly the way, or near enough exactly the way that I thought they would. Jordan Henderson and Fabinho in the central midfield with Harvey Elliott, who actually did a pretty good job, all things considering, defensive-wise. But Jordan Henderson has now convinced me almost to a certain point that he just can't play in these big, high-energy, high-tempo games. 0 out of his 3 ground duels won, and he just was chasing shadows for the most part. Fabinho did a little bit better, but he only got 2 out of his 8 ground duels. And I'm highlighting this because when you're playing against Man City, you really need to get amongst them. You need to be tactically aware and tactically astute, or have the energy and running power, like Liverpool did previously in the previous years, to be able to combat the amount of passing, the amount of pressure that Man City create. And Jordan Henderson and Fabinho really let the side down here. I'm not saying it's necessarily their fault, I just think that their bodies have caught up with them in the way they want to play. I don't think the system is orchestrated to be able to carry this level of player, and Henderson and Fabinho just didn't have the stamina and they didn't have the energy, which near enough made Liverpool's midfield pretty much null and void. Diogo Jota did his very best to try and help Henderson, but then that caused a real knock-on effect to Liverpool going forwards. They failed to counter-attack on numerous occasions, and when they did get to counter-attack, it really didn't amass to anything. When they did get the front three really going, that's when they scored the goal, and it was a brilliant taken shot by Mo Salah. But again, like I said, the chances were very far and few between. If we have a look at the statistics now, or before we do that actually, we'll have a look at the average positions because they are something to behold. This is Man City's. Look how perfect this is. This is the back three. These are your 2 wingers. Look at that. Look how high they are. They're so high and wide. It's very, very good. It just allows De Bruyne and Gundogan, who are level with each other, to be able to take up those pockets of space just in front of Van Dijk and Konate, just behind Fabinho and Henderson and Elliott, and then you have the midfield too of John Stones and Rodri. They couldn't have had an easier game, these two. There just wasn't enough pressure from that Liverpool midfield. In contrast to that, let's have a look at what the Liverpool lineup looks like. You can see it here, right? Here we have Robertson, here we have Trent Alexander-Arnold. We have Jota trying to cover for the likes of Henderson, who just couldn't get out as many times as he wanted to. Fabinho ends up actually being a little bit further ahead than Henderson, which is a massive, massive problem for Jordan Henderson when you think about the amount of energy that he's meant to be putting into this side. Cody Gakpo tries to drop a little bit deeper, but it's Harvey Elliott and Mo Salah that are really trying to go forwards. And Harvey Elliott, who probably has the most energy in midfield, is really trying to get amongst City, but without the backup of his other two central midfielders, it's never ever going to mean anything. And just finally, what I meant by the pockets of space, it's these pockets of space here that Gundogan and De Bruyne were really picking up. These were occupied all of the time, and that meant that City always had an outball. They always had a channel to go to, and they always had the opportunity to be able to switch the play to either Grealish or back on the other side to Mahrez. Finally, I just want to show you one more thing, and that is when City played in this formation, they actually had what is a box setup. If you're not familiar with the box setup, it's exactly like this, really. Two double pivots and two central attacking midfielders. This allows them to just dominate this midfield area, and Liverpool did a decent job in the first half of being able to combat this, but as time went on, De Bruyne and Gundogan just ended up picking up far too many crucial spaces and spots, which allowed Rodri and John Stones to be able to just play through them. Again, this was facilitated by Mahrez and Grealish holding their width and making sure that they were opening up the channels and opening up the spaces for De Bruyne and Gundogan. Julian Alvarez did a fantastic job as well of just drifting in and out, left to right, making it difficult for Van Dijk and Konate to be able to pick him up, which is where his goal comes from, in the middle of the box. Now finally, let's have a look at the statistics, because it does not make happy reading for Liverpool fans. Man City with nearly a 3 expected goals, 70% possession almost, 17 shots on target. I mean, we could go through all of this, but you get the drift. Man City absolutely dominated Liverpool, and for the most part, Liverpool weren't in the game. The game was done by about the 70th minute when Jurgen Klopp took off Mo Salah to try and rest him, I'm assuming. And then we can also see the fact that although Liverpool won their duels, and they won most of their duels, it's actually the way that City utilised the ball and utilised the ability to go forwards that really ended up costing Liverpool. We know that Liverpool have defensive frailties. We know that they struggle to really maintain pressure, maintain momentum. But this game was just a little bit too much for them. And I feel like we knew that it was going to be a changing of the guard with Henderson and Fabinho going out of the side eventually later on, possibly at the end of the season. And I think this just was a more clarification that needs to happen. They were absolutely mauled in midfield. They were dominated on the wide areas, and unfortunately they just couldn't handle the pressure or the quality of a very, very good Manchester City side. Of course, all of this happens without Erling Haaland, who was injured for this game, and when you think that Erling Haaland is going to be out, you assuming it's going to be to Man City's detriment, but it turns out that no Haaland, no problem. That's it for today, guys. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave the video with a like and subscribe if you haven't for more content like this coming very soon. Make sure you hit that notification bell as well. You don't want to miss what's coming up in the near future. And let me know your thoughts in the comment section below on the game itself. Are you a Liverpool fan or are you a Man City fan? Tell me how you're feeling after that game, because it was quite the spectacle to watch. So let me know all of your thoughts. I would love to hear from you. But like I said, that's it from me for today. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I hope to see you in the next one. But until then, my friends, take care of yourselves, and bye bye.